got to
Is that
feed
the
them and
problem?
touch them.
Y bueno, grabando y buenas tardes, buenas tardes. Uy, qué calor hace, ¿no? Esta semana.
Sí.
¡Ay,
Demasiado.
demonios! ¡Demonios! Es un horror. Es horrible. ¡Wow! Estamos en pleno verano, pleno verano. We're in the smack middle of, yeah. Summer, sí. Pleno verano en Arizona. Es muy difícil. Bueno, vamos a practicar esta noche y espero que ustedes estén bien. El archivo, the file that you need, if you needed a little reference here, sí, es este, sí. Vamos a empezar con iba a. I was gonna. Vamos a empezar con eso. We're going to begin with that. Y después vamos a practicar con los verbos confusos. Yeah, we're going to do a little practice with confusing verbs. So our two main things, sí, estos verbos aquí, sí. Vamos a practicar también, después de iba a, vamos a practicar con verbos confusos. Las situaciones cuando hay o sabemos, quizás sabemos un verbo en inglés, pero hay dos o más de dos verbos en español. Y depende del contexto, ¿sí? El verbo correcto, el verbo que necesitamos, depende en el contexto de la idea. Vale, bueno, y ¿dónde? Vamos a empezar con iba a. Me encanta iba a. I really love this iba a construction because it is so easy, but something that people don't think about very much. You know, it's very, very common. Es muy común usar I'm going to, we're going to, ir en presente. Es un verbo muy, muy básico. Todo el mundo sabe ir, voy, vas, va, vamos, van. Se usa para expresar moción, movimiento de un lugar a otro lugar, ir, to go, pero también para expresar el futuro, ¿no? Ir en presente es fácil. Ir in present is something that we always learn to use really early on in the Spanish journey. And when we use it to express the future, we get very, very used to that. Something, we're going to do something, which is much more common in Spanish than using their formal future tense. Conversationally, everybody uses ir a. There is a formal future tense, as in I will go to the store versus I'm going to go to the store. But you are less likely to hear it in a conversational pattern because it's reserved more for formal speech or for writing. And so we get very used to all those forms of ir to talk about what will happen kind of soon. It could be in an hour, it could be in a couple of days. But the little trick is that sometimes we need to take that ir a, the very same pattern, and we use it to talk about what somebody was going to do. And this is a situation where you never have to debate, which past tense do I use to say? I don't debate between pretérito and imperfecto in this situation of I was going to do something. or he was going to do something, or we were going to. It's flat out 100% all the time, imperfecto. So it's still going to be easy. And all you need to know is remember that the pattern is going to be iba a, iba a, iba a. And just remember that ir is one of those three verbs in imperfecto that has an odd, irregular verb form. Okay, so ir becomes iba, ibas, iba. Same thing for él, ella, usted, and yo. See, íbamos, iban. You never have to debate. Do I use pretérito or imperfecto to express the we were going to do something? It's always going to go into imperfecto every single time. So, fácil, easy. Now, what happens with, other parts of the sentence will depend on what kind of idea you are presenting. So, vale. Bueno, vamos a ver aquí. Por ejemplo, yo iba a lavar la ropa, pero la lavadora no funcionó. Okay, you've got to decide what happens with that lavadora no funcionó. But yo iba a lavar. I was going to wash the clothes. And I'm including the yo here because yo goes with iba. And iba also is the same conjugation for Ignacio, Maria, Luisa, any single one person, or usted, right? So it's one of those. Okay, a ver. Aquí la lavadora no funcionó. Aquí necesitamos, es mejor sí pretérito porque un evento, right? Something was not working at a specific moment. Vale, entonces, con iba a, ¿cómo se dice, cómo se expresa? Por ejemplo, he was going to leave today, but they canceled his flights. He was going to leave today. ¿Cómo se expresa?
Él iba a salir hoy.
Él iba a salir o quizás iba a irse. Igual. Iba a salir, ibas a irse hoy, ¿sí? Pero
Su vuelo fue cancelado.
Sí se puede. A ver, pero su vuelo, vamos a pensar en esto, ¿sí? Su vuelo fue cancelado. Ay. Me puedo escribir a máquina. Fue cancelado. Muy formal. Voz pasiva. English speakers love passive voice. Let's get rid of that. Los hispanohablantes no son muy aficionados a la voz pasiva. It does exist. It does have a place in, again, like kind of like that future thing, formal writing or certain situations. But there are other ways that are probably more common to say they canceled his flight. And one is just, here is the easy one, they canceled.
That's a lot of
This they is a faceless they. Yeah.
Sí.
Pero también cancelar.
Cancelaron.
Cancelaron su vuelo. This idea of the faceless they, that works. Pero cancelaron su vuelo. Pero también, there is also still kind of a passive voice, but it's not a true passive. It's one they approve of, and it uses this funny, odd, you don't expect it kind of word.
Oh, sí.
Se canceló su vuelo. o su vuelo se canceló. Para que sepan, so that you know this thing of using se, todavía en pretérito, still in past, preterite, but using it as that se thing is considered an acceptable and okay kind of thing that is sort of like a passive voice, yeah? But you can do either one. La cosa importante es la parte con él iba a salir, él iba a irse. Okay. Magnífico. I was going to work on my project. Aquí vamos a usar yo, porque iba con yo, iba con María, iba con José, sí. Yo
Yo iba a trabajar
iba a trabajar
en mi proyecto.
en mi proyecto,
Pero
pero
No
fue.
there wasn't. Not
No.
there is. I
Fue.
Oh, it's past
Fue.
tense.
Pero no fue.
pero
No.
no
No había
había
No había.
tiempo suficiente.
tiempo suficiente.
Okay.
Tiempo
So-
suficiente. Sí, 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 pero no había. La cosa importante aquí es había. Time there wasn't
Yeah.
time. That's not an event. It's not like saying there was a wedding, there was a meeting, right? We use hubo that pretérito for actual event-oriented things, but if you just say there wasn't time, yeah. Pero había, no había, perdón, pero no había tiempo suficiente. Y la idea de enough, sí, en un diccionario se dice bastante es enough, pero suficiente es mejor. Suficiente es como una cantidad que nos falta, a quantity that we are lacking. Sufficient. There's not sufficient. Yeah, it's kind of like my bucket's empty. Yeah, with no había tiempo suficiente. Okay.
Una
Pero,
pregunta.
sí, dime.
Tiempo suficiente o suficiente tiempo, because sufficient is a
Se puede, sí.
volume kind of a
Sí,
number.
sí.
Could you use
Sí.
it the other way too?
Habla de cantidad, sí. Tiempo suficiente. Suficiente tiempo. Sí, se puede, se puede. Well, when we have these adjectives that talk about quantity, or in this case, lack of, yeah.
Mhm.
Suficiente tiempo. Sí, está bien. We can flip those in front. Sí.
Gracias.
Sí, se puede. Se puede. You can do that. Se puede decir. And we're going to talk a little bit about this translation thing with something that's kind of fun to take a look at that when we're done here. Iba a trabajar en mi proyecto, pero no había suficiente tiempo suficiente, lo que sea. Okay, bien. I was going to exercise, but it was too hot.
Yo había a hacer ejercicios,
Iba a hacer ejercicio,
pero hacía demasiado calor.
si hacía demasiado calor. Bien. Let's look at other ways to say way too hot. Let's think of other ways that would work that maybe won't use that too, but they convey the idea of.
Oh.
Hace mucho calor. Hace mucho calor.
Hacía mucho calor. Okay, let's zhuzh it up even more than hacía mucho calor. Esteban, tenía.
Sí, is it caloroso, no?
Estaba caluroso. Sí, estaba caluroso. Sí, se puede, se puede. Pero
That's what
es
Maxie wrote me.
Sí, sí, caluroso es estar caluroso, habla del clima, sí, sí.
Mhm.
Bueno, esta idea, let's think about intensifiers, things that really give
Oh.
that true Phoenix feel to two.
Calorísimo. Pero
¿Ya?
hacía
Mhm.
calorísimo.
Casi,
good.
almost. Let's take that mucho word and zhuzh it.
Oh, muchísimos.
Muchísimo.
calor.
Bien.
Mm.
Muchísimo calor.
Mm.
That muchísimo sends it right up, yeah, into the heavens there, or down to hell, depende. A veces es posible usar otra palabra, como, por ejemplo, hacía, momentito, hacía un calor agobiante.
Mm.
Agobiante.
Intolerable.
Agobiante.
Agonizing.
Agobiante es como exhausting, draining. Sí. Agobiante es muy buena palabra. Es muy buena palabra. Hacía un calor agobiante. Truly draining, really somebody knows it's too much when it's agobiante. Bien, ok. Pero la parte
Siguiente.
más importante es esta parte aquí. Iba a ser ejercicio. Okay. Here is one of the little examples that shows why, if somebody says this at totally normal speed, look at what we've got. Ensign iba with an a in the middle, and the next word begins with an a.
So
Hay tres sonidos de a. Tres a's conectadas. Cuando un hispanohablante dice esta frase con un ritmo normal, se dice yo iba a hacer ejercicio. Yo iba a hacer ejercicio. This is one of those things when you're listening to people, those little ahs, because one word ends with it, then there's an ah, then the last word starts with the ah sound. Those ahs are just going to get maybe dragged out a little bit, but it's going to sound like there are not three words there, but they all slide one into the next. So this is something when you're listening to people, you have to listen carefully for, and listen for the context of the whole idea. Yo iba a ser. No one will ever break it up into yo iba a ser. No.
I would.
Yo iba a ser.
Yeah, right.
Sería mejor para nosotros. It would be better for all of us. Sería mucho mejor para nosotros al escuchar. Yo iba a hacer, pero nadie dice esta frase así. Yo iba a hacer. Entonces, sí, ten en cuenta, keep that in mind, right? Take that into account. Yo iba a hacer. That will slide. This is one of the reasons that Spanish gets rated as one of those super fast languages, because when we have one word end with a sound and the word next to it begins with the same sound, that's all going to be connected. I think we sort of do that in English, but not, we don't really get that same effect in English, I don't think. We can get close to it with some sounds. Okay, vale. Bueno, entonces, we were going to call her, but we forgot. We were going to call her.
Vamos a llamarla.
Íbamos a llamar. ¿Dónde está her?
La.
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 Say
La.
Lamar. Say Lamar.
Íbamos
ella.
a llamarla o igual la posición de la palabra la es una posición muy flexible porque tenemos dos verbos juntos. Entonces, es posible decir, íbamos a llamarla, ¿sí? La conectada con llamar o también, correcto, la íbamos a llamar. La íbamos a llamar.
Ah,
Ok. Bien, ok. Entonces, porque tenemos verbo número 1 y verbo número 2, ¿sí? Se puede expresar con la íbamos a llamar o íbamos a llamarla, son iguales, muy normales. Ok, vale, la cosa importante es íbamos a y el infinitivo, aquí llamar. Íbamos a llamarla o la íbamos a llamar, pero
Nos
Olvidamos.
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 Nos olvidamos.
nos olvidamos. Let's think about that.
I wouldn't put the
Nos
nose.
olvidamos.
Forget ourselves.
No record.
Pero sí es sí, de cierta manera. Ok, vale. A ver, un truquito. Here is a cultural thing, and you're going to see why these little tidbits matter when we translate. And if you don't know this little, es un truco. This is a little trick. ¿Qué quiere decir? What does it mean? We forgot. Is we forgot this kind of thing? Or is we forgot on purpose? I fully intended to do that.
no,
No, not on
not,
purpose.
it's this.
Not on purpose. So we really have to think of the intent of this. You're going to see why we're talking about these kind of things. The intent of this is not, I purposely put it out of my mind. The meaning of that action, the meaning behind our thought is, right? Okay. Hay una estructura para acciones de, acciones de, como, por ejemplo, I forgot. Como, por ejemplo, I dropped it. Como, por ejemplo,
Oh,
I ran out of milk and I've got nothing to put in my morning coffee. Como, por ejemplo, I no tengo mi cartera. Wow, I left my wallet at home. Okay, all these kind of oops activities use a special structure. Now, if you said nos olvidamos, somebody would kind of know what you meant, but it would sound funny to them because it sounds like you did it on purpose.
Oh.
Who forgets on purpose? Okay, so we're going to change this a little bit. And we're going to know that this is another oddball use of this little word. It's a very oddball use. This combination of se, nos, means it happened to us, but we didn't plan it in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, it's like the broken thing, the say rump.
It's like the broken thing.
Yes, I remember that.
Anything that's an oops, it will always be, and it doesn't sound right to somebody when they first see this or first hear it, because you say, I don't combine se with nos. That sounds wrong, but it is an automatic red flag to say oops, and the combination will always be se with that little
With nos.
pronoun, okay? Entonces, it might be, it could be, es posible, it'll always be these kind of combinations. Se nos, se me, if it happened to me, if I did it. Se te, if it happened to you. It'll be, if it happened to one person, se le. And if it happened to more than one person, it'll be se les. And notice the one standard unchangeable thing is this funny word se, which no matter who you're talking about, this is the oops structure. Yeah.
So is it kind of an indirect pronoun? But it's not really, but
Yeah.
I mean, because when I see lay and less, I think of indirect because I know there's no,
and especially with this, it just looks so wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
does.
why would you put those together? Those go together, not with all verbs. You can't do this with all verbs, but you do this with certain verbs that are the oops activities. Okay, and I'll show you a little bit of what kinds of verbs do that. Es un truco. This is a trick, but this is something that makes your Spanish much more natural. Okay, and this isn't really the core of what we're practicing with this iba, but it's a good idea because here is what happens. We forgot. What you're essentially doing then is
Olvidó.
Olvidó. En pretérito. This is usually, it doesn't have to be, but it's usually in preterite because our oops events are usually a done and over with kind of thing. Se nos olvidó. Es como decir en inglés, diríamos como, I went and forgot, it slipped my mind. Yeah, I totally forgot. I just forgot. It slipped my mind. So there are a lot of ways we might say that, but you know, that oops kind of thing we don't have any structure in English exactly like this, but it is super, super, super handy. Vamos a ver, let's take a look. Some other verbs that this might.
So Marilyn, question though, why is it conjugated for the third person in preterite when it's we forgot? It's referring to her.
Because what you're saying is that activity went and it got forgotten on me. What you are saying is yes. So it is always either olvidó or olvidaron, always. But here it's an event of picking up the phone and calling. So that's like a onesie kind of thing because it's just an action. Yeah.
So the event, the action.
Could we say it was forgotten to us? Is that sort of what it's all about?
It was forgotten to us, but we wouldn't say that in English, would we?
No, but that looks literally like what it would
that is buena manera de pensar en eso. Sí, that is a really great way to think about this. Right. What you are saying by this se nos, se me, se te, se les, it automatically signals I didn't mean for this to happen, and by golly, it's not my fault.
Marilyn?
Sí.
If this drives me crazy, but if I were to say pero en error, nosotros olvidamos. Is that, could you get away with that?
Would somebody understand you? Absolutely, yes.
But there was no intent there. It was an error.
But it sounds a little off to them. Because the idea you really want to convey is, gee, I didn't mean to.
Sure, but even if you put in error.
Even if you just say like olvidamos, somebody would get your drift, but it would sound a little off to them.
And even
if you said my mistake, I forgot. Yeah.
You could say something like, my mistake, por mi culpa, por mi culpa. Okay, sí,
That would work.
it would work, but this is what people say. But what are people going to say to you? How will they say it to you? They're going to say it like this. Yeah,
Synonyms.
yeah. I mean, that's just kind of like naturally what comes out. It's the oops. So, este es un truco. This is a little trick, but just know that it really, when you think about it, is not so hard to do because it's always, with no exceptions, se me, and the me tells who it happened to. Se te, it tells who it happened to. Se le, or se les, a bunch of people, it tells who it happened to. That second pronoun tells who it happened to. And the se says oops.
Can you give
Oops.
us another example,
To
Marilyn?
me, to us, to whomever this happened. But now you can't do this with every verb. Can I do this with every verb? No. It's got to be some kind of an activity that lends itself to an oops. So let's think about this a little bit. Romper. Break.
Break.
Okay. Especially with break. Aquí es importante. Here it is important. Do people ever break things in anger?
Hmm.
Are there people with bad
Yes, people
tempers?
do.
Yeah. So with that verb, it's actually kind of important to do it because you're really saying, ooh, ooh. Yeah, that just went and happened. Yeah. Se me rompió. Se me rompió. Se me rompió. Se me rompió. Se me rompió el vaso. You drop a glass. Yeah. Thumble fingers. Yeah. And instead of like getting mad at your better half and throwing it at. That's romper, right? But se me rompió. Ay, se me rompió. Se me rompió. It went and broke itself on me. And it's not my fault. So romper is a verb that does that. Sometimes acabar is a verb that does that. When you want to say run out of something, I didn't know I was low on this. Oh, we ran out of bread. Se nos acabó el pan. Se nos acabó el pan. ¿Sí?
Acabó.
Acabó. Acabar means finished.
Okay, you need the day.
And yeah, that's like our saying I ran out. And think about it in English, run out of something makes no sense at all. Run out. Yeah, I ran out of milk. I ran out of coffee. I ran out of beer. Run. What's run got to do with it? In English, nothing. Nada. No tiene sentido. It makes no sense. It's just the turn of phrase we use. Acabar does it. Bien. Okay.
Oh,
So certain verbs do this. We don't want to focus too much on it, but just so that you know this, I plain old forgot something. Muy natural. This is a very natural way of saying it. And will somebody understand if you say olvidamos? They will. But this is what they themselves will say. Because it's just the natural way for them to express it. Because they want you to know, gee, didn't mean to do that. Okay, bien. Okay, back to iba a. They were going to work with us.
Iban a
Iban
trabajar.
a trabajar
Con nosotros.
con nosotros.
Nosotros.
Pero
Nunca
Pero
llegaron a la oficina.
nunca
no.
llegaron a la oficina.
Whatever.
Eso, sí. Nunca llegaron a la oficina. Llegaron es un evento. This is an event. It's not like llegar no es como no había. It's not like there wasn't, where there's no activity. It's just, an existence thing. Arrived es un evento, yeah? Okay, magnifico. Iban a. My wife was going to meet me here.
Mi esposa iba
Mi esposa, mi mujer, mi media naranja,
Iba a
my
encontrar.
half an orange. If you want to, if you want to talk about your spouse in a truly affectionate way, my honey, my sweetie, mi media naranja, mi media naranja. Okay, was going to meet me.
Uh,
iba a encontrar.
Iba a más como encontrarse.
Encontrar.
Hay muchas maneras de expresar meet up with. There are a lot of different verbs you can use for this. So encontrarse conmigo.
Okay.
Here
Pero
we
de-
usually have to use the con.
Pero
need
de
it.
ser, encontrarme,
I would've-
Encontrarme, sí, posible también. Y here, aquí, bien, aquí, y depende, some places you'll hear acá. It's a regional thing. It doesn't make a huge, big difference. But this meet up with, you might have different ways of saying that same idea. It could be iba a
verme,
reunirse conmigo. Iba a juntarse
ujú,
conmigo. Hay muchos verbos que se usan para get together, meet up. Sí,
could
bien.
could you use quedar somehow? Could you say quedarme or
Quedar es más
Quedar
como
es-
stay.
but it's got 1,000 meanings. So
It does have 1,000 meanings, yes. And we're looking at a lot of 1,000 meanings kind of words. Sí, eso es. Sí. Bien. Okay. So here's our iba a, íbamos a, iban a, etc. So here's the thing. You never have to wonder which tense. Was going to instead of I am going to, was going to is always some kind of form of iba. Always, siempre. It'll never be fue or fui or fuimos. Nunca. No se dice. We don't use pretérito for this idea. Okay. Iba a infinitivo. And it could be íbamos, es posible. Iban, ibas, para tú, sí, siempre. Always a form of iba, a, infinitivo. So never think, which tense, if I want to say that in the past. Siempre es imperfecto. En todo el tiempo, all the time. It's always imperfecto. Okay? Vale, bien.
Una
Ah,
pregunta.
Sí, dime.
On the encontrar, can we say encontrarme and leave off the conmigo? Or is that?
Sí, Steven did ask about that. Sí, se puede. Sí, se puede.
Pregunta, could
Sí.
you say me iba a encontrar?
Sí. Ok. Bien. Bueno. What are we thinking a little bit about translation? Ooh. Vamos a pensar en esto. I'm going to send you a link for this. I am not clear if it has a paywall or not. So there are going to be two ways for you to get into this. And if link number one does not function, the other way of doing it, per what I'll write in the email, will work. This is a super great thing I just saw about 2 days ago. Hace 2 días leí esto, o ayer, no recuerdo exactamente, no me acuerdo del día exacto, pero, someone who does not worry about translation or AI taking away her translation job. Translation is often, and this also speaks to the idea of it's not necessarily always a great idea to translate word for word for word for word, not just because it doesn't work, but sometimes it doesn't carry that feeling. Many times when we want to translate something, we are also, with those words, conveying a feeling or an atmosphere with that idea we're expressing. So translation really is an art. It is a craft. Yeah. Is translation just work? Is it art or is it a craft? And let's take a look at how this can happen. And this is going the opposite direction from Spanish to English. So keep that in mind. But since you guys know enough Spanish to get the gist of what this means, this is a great little article. It's going to show you how translators work and why translators, especially for literature. This is from literature, like a novel. Okay. So this is not like a newspaper piece. It is factual. All right. And with novels, with literature, with stories, there's a feel that goes with a story. People write a certain way to convey a feeling and create a mental image and give you an idea of what that character is like. So this shows how a translation should never be word for word for word. So here, and we're going the opposite direction with this one. La verdad es que él no vio nada por su madre, que en paz descanse, por lo más sagrado que él no vio nada. Now, they're going to show you how you get to not just an adequate translation, but a translation that gives you the feel. This, I think, yes. This comes from a Mexican writer novel, Hurricane Season, a murder mystery wrapped around a critique of state corruption. The plot unfolds as a continuous restating of the facts by those involved in the crime. It is a story told in village hearsay, and it hangs on the author's ability to create distinct and credible voices for her characters. A successful translation has to carry those voices, so those feelings, those nuances, those implications over into English. And a word-for-word translation does not always cut it. So we're going to see all the machinations, all the gymnastics, the mental gymnastics that a good translator goes through. So these are the first lines of a chapter that follows a character named Mundra, a sort of lovable, though highly unreliable fool. Mundra isn't speaking here, but the narrator is channeling him. So kind of like a hearsay thing, as they had said. Okay. So, and here's what it is. The truth, the truth, the truth. Tres veces, 3 times. The truth, the truth, the truth is that he didn't see anything by his mother. May she rest in peace. By the most sacred thing of all, he didn't see anything. But we're going to show you why that word for word is lacking in feeling to create the feel for what for working around this character. Okay, and giving you a true feel for good ideas. All right, here's how Google translated it. And the por su madre, for his mother,
Just like your
really.
class would translate it, just like your class.
Yeah. So
Marilyn,
here, this part,
Sorry.
for his mother.
He's swearing on his mother's grave that he saw
Right,
nothing.
exactly. On my mother's,
That
yeah, on my
translates?
mother's life.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything.
For the most, and for is a horrible translation. That is what Google will bring up, and it is wrong. It is really, really bad. It's really real, because what you really mean with por there is on account of, or
behalf of.
on my mother's life. Yeah, that kind of thing. Sí, por su madre, que descanse en paz, que descanse en paz, que descanse en paz is like the sacred thing.
Yeah.
Que en paz descanse, or que descanse en paz. May they rest in peace. That's a sacred kind of thing. Okay, so this isn't gonna cut it. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. How we turn a translation. So here's what people think about when they really translate, especially stories. They're going to get rid of that 3 times, la verdad, la verdad, la verdad. But what do you replace it with? If you're going to do that, repetition serves a purpose with la verdad, la verdad, la verdad. So how do we do that if we translate into an idea? Oh, into English, quizás, maybe the truth, the absolute truth. Ooh. Oh, quizás, maybe. That might work, but she goes, nah, yeah. And oh, that didn't. Contraction makes it conversational.
He saw nothing.
Yeah.
Mm.
So this character, however, is not that kind of person.
And nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
So they're going to try something different. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes it sound like swearing on the Bible, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Dragon.
Yeah.
Basically, swearing on his mother's grave, though.
That we haven't gotten to that part yet. Yeah. Okay.
It's like you're in court.
Yeah. Okay. And now reading the whole book was kind of key too, to know the contextual situation of the whole story. He's providing a witness statement. So that whole truth and nothing but the truth is why, but even there, it's like, do I want to do that? Do I want to do that? So back to the drawing board. And could we swap it for a noun? Honestly. Okay. And they're thinking about it. Not satisfied. One last try. Honest, honest to God.
Ah,
He didn't
That's pretty
see a
emphatic, yeah.
thing. Instead of he saw nothing or he didn't see anything, he didn't see a thing. Wow. And the honest to God starts to sound really like somebody pleading about it, right? Okay. We like that. Okay. On his mother's soul, on his mother's grave, we might say in English. See, may she rest in peace. He didn't see a thing. What's the most sacred thing if not God? Yeah. So they show you all the mental gymnastics we go through, and they actually go through another little thing, which is very simple. And I'll just show you real quickly. This is okay. The key here is the last 2 words. Went from to English immediately. She straightened up, patted down her skirt, and returned to the desk crying. And here's something she says to a group of people: "Alegría, alegría." And you would just think, well, alegría, you translate that as
goodness.
happiness, or maybe joy. But that doesn't have the right feel. So those 2 simple words, alegría, alegría, with exclamation marks, happiness, that doesn't cut it. No, nobody says that.
Well.
Okay. Que alegría literally means joy, but it's kind of like, you know, what you say when you're saying how wonderful. So we're going to play around with that idea a little bit more.
Hmm.
And now we're going to move to fun times now. That doesn't cut it, but you know, it's getting there. Oh, what do you do when you got a whole bunch of people who are all drinking together? Alegría, alegría, even though it really has nothing to do with drink up, drink up.
Let's say
Uh, But what do we say when we tell people to drink up?
cheers.
Cheers? Yeah.
Yeah, you're wishing them happiness with cheers, yeah. And cheers, everyone. Is that the last one? I think she has one more. No, quizás no. Bien, yeah. Cheers,
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah. So you see that whole idea of don't necessarily feel chained to when you want to convey a feeling, don't feel chained to a word by word kind of analysis, because it does not always do you justice. Okay. Now I'll send that whole article for you to read. Vale la pena, it's worth it. Okay. Bien, vamos a practicar. Ahorita, right about now. Vamos a ver el video, the video that you had, ¿sí? El video que ustedes vieron esta semana, durante la semana, fue un video de 8 minutos con muchísimos verbos, pero son verbos confusos. These are confusing verbs, and they're confusing verbs because English just uses that one word, but really how we're interpreting that English word means Spanish might use different kinds of words. We're going to take a look at some examples of these. We are not going to work on echar very much tonight, however. We're going to save echar for next week, because echar really should be separated and taken out and put in its own category, because echar has it's like quedar. It has a bunch of uses. And so we're going to kind of mention echar only in passing, but not really like super focus on it. But do know that you know, which verb we use is going to depend very heavily on the context of how you are using an idea. The idea behind it is of greater importance. And the context is going to determine what we do. Okay. That word try. That word try. What did you get out of that? You got that the context of the word is going to drive us down 2 paths that are possible. And here, this is one where it's really falls into a 50-50, and you don't really have to think about a lot of rules. Try is, and by the way, this try might be, instead of just probar, might be probarse, might be with clothing in particular. Yeah, with clothing, but just probar for taste. When we're talking about food and clothes, it's going to be probar for trying stuff. Yeah. Food and clothing, it's probar. And the way I used to remember this when I was how old was I? 15 years old. Con 16 años de edad, as a 16-year-old, the way I thought of this was my biology class focused on butterflies. And butterflies and other little animals, insectos, other little animals, have sometimes a proboscis. And it's like, you know, a little probing organ in the insect's mouth. Oh, you know, what does a butterfly do? They get that little proboscis and they dig through the pollen and nectar and suck that out. So I would always think of probing, yeah. Taste and clothing, it's probar, which is a stem changer in the first place. So, okay, vale, entonces, I always try on clothes, and you don't need the word on. So we have to throw that out. ¿Cómo se expresa, por ejemplo? So knowing it's going to fall in this camp right away, probar, I always try on clothes before buying them. Always.
Siempre prueba.
Siempre.
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 Prueba.
Prueba talks about somebody else. I always try on.
Oh,
Me
me-
pruebo.
Me pruebo. Here it's reflexive. Just know that. Me pruebo. Me pruebo. We don't need that
Ropa.
word on, so we throw that out. Clothes.
Ropa.
Ropas.
La ropa. La ropa.
La ropa.
Oh, la ropa.
La ropa. La ropa. Wait a minute. Clothes.
No.
Isn't that more than one?
Oh, it's
No.
like pantalones. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is one of those words nobody ever says, las ropas. You'll never, 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 ever hear las ropas from a native speaker because no se dice, it is not said. Yeah. Simplemente la ropa. Siempre me pruebo la ropa. Before buying
Antes.
them.
Antes
But
de-
De
antes
comprados.
de, but that ing goes away. Antes de.
Oh dear.
Compradas.
Antes de comprar. And somebody might just leave it there, comprar. They might just let it lay there. Or they
Well-
might want to refer back to the idea of this la ropa. In which case, if they want to use a little pronoun, they might
La.
tag on la.
La.
Okay. And just know, some people may just leave it dangling without the la, but some people will put that on. Siempre me pruebo la ropa antes de comprarla. But notice, before buying, that ing is not going to happen. So we're going to put that in parentheses because these things get dropped in a good translation because we don't need those words in Spanish. Yeah. In this context. Okay.
Okay,
Probar.
wait, why is comprar infinitive?
Why? Because of
Because of antes de.
that
right?
word. Because of that
Okay.
little word right there. There's only one reason for it, and it is that little word there. De.
Oh, okay, okay.
De. Whenever a verb comes right after any kind of preposition, it's always infinitivo. Always. 100% of the time. It's
Thank you.
y no importa el pronombre. It doesn't matter the pronoun. So let's change that up. If it's antes de, if it's después de, after, although that doesn't make sense, but you just we're getting ideas of prepositions. After words like after words like en, after words like con, always infinitivo. Yeah. Anytime you've got a preposition, and there are shorty words, they're always shorty words, you have to use an infinitive. You cannot conjugate the verb. Okay. Bien, pero lo más importante, me pruebo y pruebo. Yeah, you don't want to use intentar or tratar de, because those definitions of try don't talk about stuff you put in your mouth or put on your body. These two verbs talk about
Taste and clothes.
an attempt, trying to do something. Yeah.
Actually, después de makes sense because now people shop and take clothes home and then try them on. Take them
See,
back.
Eso es, sí.
That's true. And
En
especially
línea,
maybe during the pandemic when all the fitting rooms were closed.
en línea, cuando compramos la ropa en línea,
Sí.
no hay otra manera, ¿sí? A veces hay una evaluación de qué talla, what size, sí, pero sí, eso es. Buen punto. Sí, tienes razón. You are right. Tienes razón. Bien. Okay. A ver. You want to ask a friend, do you try new foods? Or really, we're going to make that just food. Do you try new food when you travel? And it's got to fall automatically into that probar category. But now it won't be reflexive because you're not putting the food on your body, you're putting it inside. Yeah. Okay. Vale. Con forma de tú.
Te pruebas.
Prueba.
Pruebas.
Te pruebas.
Pruebas.
Te
New food.
comidas nuevas.
Nueva comida. How else might we express nueva comida? Maybe you really mean a specific kind of
Platas?
dish.
Platas,
Almost plata is silver, but you're so
Platos.
close.
platas,
Nuevos platos, nuevos platos.
platos. Oh, yeah.
See? And now you want to talk about your habit when you travel.
Cuando
Cuando
tú viajas.
viajas. Viajas, because you're talking about cuando viajas, ¿sí? Bien. Cuando viajas, momentito. Cuando viajas, bien, ¿sí? Y lo importante aquí, the important thing here is that we're in team probar. We're in team probar. Comida, ropa, probar. O con ropa, probarse. Un poquito mejor, ¿ok? ¿Vale? All right, now, but this idea of try in English, if you're talking about your attempting and you know it may or may not work out, that needs a different kind of verb. Okay, and it will be one of these two, and these two are completely interchangeable. They mean the same thing. You can swap one for the other. It does not matter, but you got to remember something about the tratar side of that story. It needs an extra little word. And it needs a de. It really has to have that de. Will somebody understand you if you forget it? It'll sound very funny without the de. Because tratar has a different meaning without the word de attached to it. Okay. And I should show you what that is. Okay, but let's look at this first. Primero. Intentar o tratar de son equivalentes. Totally equivalent, totally swappable. Okay, por ejemplo, vale, aquí I'm trying to listen to the news. I'm trying.
Intento.
Intento, and now I need the infinitive next to it. Intento.
Escuchar.
No.
Oír.
No a.
Where?
Escuchar. No. Voy a, sí. Intento, no usa a. No. Intento escuchar. It's like quiero escuchar. ¿Sí? Puedo escuchar. This is one of the verbs. They just go right next to each other. No vanilla Oreo thing in the middle of the Oreo cookie thing there. Okay. Intento escuchar. Do we need this word too? No, we don't even need that word. We throw it out. Intento escuchar
Las noticias?
Las noticias. Intento escuchar las noticias. Bien.
You
Fantástico.
say oír. I'm trying to hear the news.
Listen.
Well, I know. It says
Oír has
listen,
a
but you wouldn't
oír
say-
es interesante. Oír talks about your ability to perceive something.
Mm.
So if you're really talking about thinking about what that sound that's coming in your ear, thinking about it, escuchar is your better choice.
Okay. Because I mean,
Ah,
if it were me in English, I might say, I'm trying to hear the news. Why are you bugging me? You know?
en inglés, sí. En inglés, sí. Sí. Oír might imply that maybe the volume isn't working well. Like you can't pick up the sounds at all. You know, not that it's a noisy room or or that your hearing is bad or lo que sea, whatever. Okay, bien. Okay, vamos a ver. ¿Cómo se usa con tratar de, tratar de? We're going to, same idea, but instead of intento, we're going to plug in a different little combination.
Trato de?
Trato de escuchar. Trato de escuchar las noticias. Bien, son equivalentes. You can totally swap these two verbs out completely. Okay. No hay diferencia. There's no difference. Bien. Okay. We're trying to exercise every day.
Tratamos de hacer ejercicios cada día.
Hacer ejercicio. Bien, muy bien. Tratamos de hacer ejercicio cada día, todos los días, igual, diariamente. Yeah, whether you choose to say cada día or diariamente or todos los días, all those expressions mean kind of the same thing as every single day, yeah? Diariamente will really kind of drive that home maybe a little bit more, but cada día works great, okay? Cada día, every single day, sí, todos los días, igual, same thing. But you get the idea. There are different ways you might say every day. You might say daily, diariamente, instead of cada día. It carries the same general idea. Okay, tratamos de, let's use the other, we can plug it in kind of verb because they're totally interchangeable. En vez de tratamos de,
Intentamos?
intentamos. Intentamos hacer ejercicio. Intentamos hacer ejercicio. Bien, igual. Pero intentamos hacer no, de no, en no. Simplemente intentamos hacer. Nada más, nothing else there. Vale, perfecto, perfectos. But these two are totally interchangeable. These two verbs will carry the same meaning, no difference at all. Oh, the tourists are trying to buy tickets for the show.
Los turistas.
Los turistas.
Intentamos.
Intentan, they're trying to right now, see, intentan comprar
billetes.
Billetes, it could be billetes because it's a show and it's an
Entradas?
Esto es típico. Esta palabra es una palabra típica. If you said, billetes, boletos, there are different words for ticket. Would they get the idea? Yes, they would. But here is what people will typically use for a ticket to get into an event, for an event. Entradas, because you want an entrance. Yeah. Los turistas intentan comprar entradas for the
Para-
show.
El espectáculo.
Para el espectáculo. Qué buena palabra, el espectáculo. A spectacle is a show. There are different words people might use for a show. Espectáculo is often something that's on a stage. Espectáculo puede ser un evento como un concierto musical, de drama, de comedia. ¿Sí? Espectáculo es muy general, pero show, ¿sí? Espectáculo. Para el espectáculo, para el programa, para a veces el show. Ay, no me gusta, pero a veces. You may even hear el show, especially sometimes with Mexican Spanish, you may hear it, yeah? I don't know if we really want to call it. Yeah, we do want to call that a little bit Spanglish, but you do hear people say that sometimes. Hay varias palabras que podemos usar para show, ¿sí? El programa, el espectáculo, el drama, if it is a play, right? ¿Sí? El concierto, if it's music. ¿Sí? El baile, if it's a dance, ¿sí? Depende. It really depends on what kind of show it is, doesn't it? But they all kind of, yeah, give you a little bit of a different feel. Okay, bien. ¿Hay alguna palabra con try? Try, this is one of the really straightforward things. One of the straightforward choices that we have. Claro? Bien claro? Pretty clear? See? Eso? Okay, we wanted to start with an easy one. So we're going to have a caveat with the next pairing here. The next pairing is the kind of the idea of support. But support, want to have a really big disclaimer here. A lot of people think of this word, y no es soportar. A lot of people say, wow, soportar, that looks like support. It must mean support. But soportar is kind of like embarazada.
Yeah, right.
It's a
Doesn't
great
mean-
big, don't use this word. Yeah, soportar. Actually, people do use this word, and it's almost always negative. Yeah, it's always almost always when somebody is complaining about somebody, you hear the word soportar, because soportar is put up with or tolerate, right? If somebody means I can't stand, so I can't stand, por ejemplo, I can't stand my boss. No soporto a mi jefe. I can't stand my mother-in-law. No soporto a mi suegra. I can't stand my kid. No soporto a mi hijo. I can't stand my neighbors. No soporto a mis vecinos. Yeah, so cuidado. Soportar looks like support, but it doesn't mean that at all. So cuidado. But support. I'm going to tell you here, they gave you again, like you had a trio of 3 verbs here, probar, intentar, tratar. We have a trio of verbs here. And out of this trio, I would say this is the least important for you to know right now. It's the least important. And it's least important because conversationally, unless you work in construction or you're really like grabbing onto something, you're less likely to need that. You are much more likely in normal chit chat to need one of these 2. So let's think about these 2. When with the idea of support, the context is I'm a backer of the Cardinals. When support means it's rah. When support means I'm in your corner. When support means you will give emotional backing to somebody. Your best choice is this verb apoyar. Es un verbo muy regular. It's a super regular kind of verb. Yeah. And this verb apoyar means I'm in your corner, baby. When the context is I'm behind you. Yeah. We go for this verb. This is our choice. Apoyar. Apoyar. Entonces, ¿cómo se dice? Por ejemplo, ¿cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice? I support the Red Cross. And we will translate Red Cross exactly that way. I support.
Apoyo?
Apoyo. Apoyo la Cruz Roja. Yeah, that's an international organization. La Cruz Roja. Sí, apoya la Cruz Roja, meaning you're a backer. Yeah, you might volunteer. You might donate some money. You might donate, whether it's your time or your money. You just think it's a great organization. You know, you don't give them any money. You don't volunteer at all, but you think it's a great organization. Yeah, apoyo la Cruz Roja. Vale, bien.
Pregunta, por favor.
Sí.
So if you financially support the Red Cross, like I support the Red Cross once a year or something, could you
Todavía,
use
still.
mantener or no?
Yeah, we've got this mantener. Creo que no, because this mantener really is kind of more like the idea of putting them, it's the idea of I keep my kids in shoes and clothing and food.
Okay.
It's really talking about a really physical, like maintenance.
Okay.
Maintenance. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Concrete, super concrete. So, just a donation, you gave $50. Apoyo really works. Apoyo. Yeah. Apoyo. Mantener is really maintaining. So, maybe if somebody is like one of 2 or 3 venture capitalists kind of backers, maybe mantener.
Like Bill Gates.
Yeah, but even then, apoyar is really what you want. Anytime, yeah, it's a backing. Yeah. Mantener, not so much. We'll show you mantener. We support our kids while they're studying. We support our kids while they're studying. And that is kind of vague. It might mean you emotionally support them. It might mean that you're giving some money still, but it's that golden of you're in their corner. You're in their corner. So we want apoyar. We support our kids.
Apoyamos.
Apoyamos. And we're talking about people now, so we need this magic word. Apoyamos a
Nuestros hijos.
nuestros hijos. Nuestros hijos while mientras estudian. Mientras estudian. ¿Bien? ¿Sí? ¿Vale?
Sí.
Bueno, pero apoyamos a. Aquí a. Here we need that a. It's the a personal because we're talking about human beings receiving that support. So we need, when we got human beings receiving action, we need a. Apoyamos a. In your corner. In your corner. Apoyar. In your corner. Apoyar. The support might be just emotional. Might just be, I think you're great. It might be actually helping in some way, but apoyar. So this mantener you hear in a couple of ways. We either in the idea of actually physically supporting a family. You are maintaining your household when you support your family, when your money goes towards your family. So that's the idea of mantener. Also, we use mantener a lot for this idea of keep, not keep stuff in your cupboard or keep stuff, but keep in shape, or, keep up your health, that kind of keep. Yeah. You know what? Let's change that a little bit to the idea of keep up. Because, yeah, it's kind of more that idea. Okay, but let's take a look at the whole financial thing. The father supports his family and think that he keeps them financially stable. He keeps them in food and clothing and shelter, okay? ¿Cómo se dice? This father,
Este padre?
este padre, ¿qué pasa con mantener? Mantener is going to be
Mantiene.
conjugated like
Mantener.
mantiene, mantiene, mantiene. Mantiene a su familia. Sí, este padre mantiene a su familia. Mantiene a su familia. That means he's actually working to supply the money, the clothing, the shelter, the socks, the books, the pencils, all that stuff. Yeah, medicine, all of that. Mantiene a su familia. He keeps them supported, and it's that whole umbrella of all the physical things it takes to maintain a household. Okay, vale. Here's the idea of keep up or keep in shape. Mantener. And here it's going to be a reflexive. It's going to be a reflexive. So you might even be mantenerse. This is going to be mantenerse. ¿Cómo se dice we walk? Aquí fácil, easy.
Andamos.
Caminamos. Some places like this verb andar. Andamos also works. Depends on what area. Some people like caminar, some like andar. Caminamos, andamos. Iguales. Equal. Okay. Caminamos 5 millas
Cada
cada
día.
día. Sí. Cada día.
Mantenemos. I don't know.
In order to.
Oh, para.
Para.
Para. Mantener.
Mantener, and we're going to make it reflexive, so it's mantener.
Nos.
Nos. Para mantenernos en
Forma.
forma. Para mantenernos en forma. ¿Sí? Para mantenernos en forma. Why don't we conjugate it? Because we've got another preposition there. Ooh,
We don't have.
Para salud. Salud. Para mantenernos en forma. Para mantenernos en forma. Okay. Stay in shape. Keep yourself in shape. Yeah. Oh, it's also got this idea of stay. Yeah. So we use a whole bunch of different words in English. We could say stay in shape or keep yourself in shape. Igual. Okay. So mantener generally will fall into these kind of categories. Yeah. But if you're just talking about supporting your friend, like, emotional support, whatever, stick with this. Apoyar, that's your golden word. Yeah. When you're in their corner, when you're a backer. Okay. And I'm just going to show you how this verb works, but I don't think you're going to need it a whole lot. But like mantener is built on tener, sostener is also built on tener. And this really means like an actual physical bracing support, holding something in place, in its most literal form. Okay. So the walls hold up the roof. Las piedras, las paredes. Las paredes sostienen el techo. ¿Sí? Las paredes sostienen el techo. The rocks hold up the arch. You know, you're looking at some old ancient building. Las piedras sostienen el arco. And you can see from those two ideas that we're really talking about literally something that holds something up. Yeah. So are you going to use that as much? Nah, probably not. Estos dos, these two, sí, muy común. Y apoyar muchísimo. Okay. A ver. Let's take a look. Uy, a ver, momentito. We're going to talk about two easier ones. And that is the two move verbs. Yeah. The two move verbs.
Are you sending us this week, Marilyn?
Oh, sí.
Okay. Good.
Sí, claro. And you're going to finish up the end of it.
Okay.
Because we won't get to all of these now. But we're kind of vale la pena. It is worth it to think about this because often we have to think of the context, you know, the idea we're trying to convey. And these are the kinds of verbs that can be like where you really get a hitch in your brain of what makes sense. So, okay, move has two things. And here it's more black and white again. This is easier than apoyar, mantener. Easier. When you move, as in you pick it up, you put it in a box, and now you got a different address, and your bills all come to a different place. That's one thing only, and that's mudarse. Yeah. And everything else is either going to be mover or moverse, right? Move. Mover, when you move an item, like you shove it over, it might be mover. But if you move your whole body, it might very well become a reflexive, yeah? Like get up and sit down, moverse, bien posible. Okay, a ver, many people move to places with cooler weather. Many people.
Just
Mucha gente.
Mucha gente.
Mhm.
Mucha gente. A lot of people want to use that personas. It's a crutch though. Get used to gente. Mucha gente. Y mudarse. Mucha gente. Singular.
Say.
Mudarle.
Se muda. Mucha gente se muda a
lugares.
lugares, sitios con
I don't know.
Con, bueno.
Hace clima.
Con un clima más fresco, quizás, ¿sí?
Oh, más fresco. Okay.
Más fresco, ¿sí? Cooler weather, un clima más fresco, ¿sí? Pero lo importante, mucha gente se muda, because they're going to be living literally at a different address. So, se muda. You don't have to think very hard about it, right? I'm moving to a smaller house.
Me mudo.
Me mudo. Muy regular, very regular verb. Me mudo.
A la casa más pequeña.
A una casa más pequeña.
Más pequeño.
Sí, vale. Me mudo a una casa más pequeña. Me mudo, se mudan, nos mudamos, se mudan aquí. Okay? When your address is different and your bills come to a different place, it's mudarse. Bien? Okay. But now I am just shoving this stuff someplace. This just says I'm shuffling it. I'm shoving it. I am schlepping it across the floor. Yeah. So we don't, mudarse makes no sense there. We need a different verb and we need the one that looks like move, mover. And it's a UE stem change. So you tell somebody, hey, move the luggage.
Mueva.
Because it's a command.
Mueve. Well, mueva if it's an impersonal command. A person, yeah, depende. It could be mueva. If it's an usted command, yeah. If it's a tú command, it's mueve. So mueve could be mueva. It could be mueva. Oh, the luggage.
Equipaje?
El equipaje.
Oh,
El
It's one of
equipaje.
my favorite Spanish words.
El equipaje.
equipaje.
Ahí,
Equipage.
One to say.
Allí. What if it's way?
Allá.
Over? It might be
Allá. No.
allá, right? Yeah, they might or might not. You might hear it expressed with this little thing thrown in. Por allí, por allá. You might hear por thrown in there. You might not. Depende. Yeah. Bien. Okay. Vale. Bueno. Oh. If I want to convey this idea, when my knees hurt, it's better to move around. I mean, getting the kinks out of my body, right?
Right.
So if you're doing it to your whole body, then you've got to be thinking not just mover, but
Moverse.
moverse. Okay. ¿Cómo se expresa, por favor, esta idea when my knees are hurting me?
Cuando.
Cuando?
Tengo
Dolor.
dolor de
Me duela.
There
Rodillas.
might be two ways of saying that. Okay. Okay, vale. Bueno, cuando tengo dolor de, we could. But what's that other? Cuando
Me
me,
duele.
Duele.
cuando me duelen las
Las rodillas.
rodillas. Cuando me duelen las rodillas, this is the more natural thing. You could say tengo dolor de, sí, es posible. Cuando me duelen las rodillas, it's better. Es
mejor.
mejor. And now we just plug in an infinitive. Es mejor
Moverse.
yeah, so,
moverse. Moverse if it's very impersonal. What if I'm talking about
Moverme.
myself. Moverme.
mover,
See, see, if you're talking about anybody in general, moverse. Pero aquí, cuando me duelen las rodillas, sí, es mi
Moverme.
cuerpo. Es mejor moverme. Es mejor moverme. Es mejor moverme. Perfecto. Moverme. Okay. Ooh. The couples move with the music. We're not talking about sending your bills someplace else. We're talking about this.
What the heck?
Yeah, the couples move with the music. The couples. Las
Las parejas.
parejas
Yes. Hey. Would
Se
you
mueven.
se mueven así con la música, a la música, depende, ¿sí? Se mueven, pero se mueven. They move it, yeah? Bien, they shake it, baby, shake it. Yeah, that's what that one is. And this one is not moving a body, but just shuffling some item around. Oh, here's something that your dad probably told you when he got tired of you being lazy. Or yeah. Oh,
oh, that's not.
muévete. Muévete. Move it. What they want you to do is to get up off your butt. Yeah. When mom, dad, whoever wants you to just get off your butt. Muévete. Yeah. Or, actually it could even be, hey, get up on the dance floor. Get up there and shake it, baby. Yeah, muévete. That can be that idea too. Yeah. El tono de la voz. Yeah, your tone of voice. Eso importa. That really kind of matters. So, okay. We took a deep dive look at probar en intentar or tratar de. We took a look at apoyar, mantener. Más difícil. This one was harder. This was not too tough to, mudarse, mover. What you're going to do from that same video, same thing, you're going to prep These two, we're going to take a look at these two together, lanzar and tirar. So you're going to get this whole thing in the email. So you're going to be prepping slide 5, slide 6, because you're going to get a different video for echar. Echar, it doesn't do it justice unless you take it out and put it in a category by itself. Echar has many, many, many uses. So even though echar can literally mean physically throwing an item, like lanzar can mean physically throwing an item, like tirar can mean literally physically throwing an item, right? Sometimes there are little nuances to these two, lanzar and tirar. Lanzar can have a very kind of metaphorical meaning sometimes. But echar has all kinds of odd little uses. So you're going to get a new video to talk about echar. And then you're going to get the last one, the discutir and platicar. Because discutir carries with it, it's really important that probably the two camps are not totally in agreement. Not necessarily duking it out, could be duking it out verbally.
Debating.
Yeah, could just mean differing, but differing views, differing opinions. That's when we use discutir. This verb for discussion, platicar, means there is no conflict involved, no clash of views at all. So I want you to work these 3, and you're going to get a new video on echar because it's got a whole bunch of uses.
Too
Yeah.
many.
¿Vale? Sí. ¿Qué más? Se me olvidó. Oh, por ejemplo, perdón. Una cosita más. Se me olvidó. Se me olvidó. I forgot. We didn't really get time to talk about this, but I do want it, and it would be plugged into your email. I do want you to think about riffing off this idea of what they talked about in this video. And that was they were comparing 2 cities. So I want you to be comparing next week. And this will be like a small group thing for next week, talking about a place where you would live and a place where you wouldn't live. And
Marlon, I couldn't download this. I couldn't get that down last week.
oh, the video?
There was a problem with that video. I don't know if anyone had a problem. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Try it again.
It did 1 minute and then it stopped.
I give it another try. I'll make sure that my link is good. I'll double check my link before I send that out.
It worked fine for me.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So the difficulty with that video is that the person doing the interviews tries to speak at a very consciously decent pace, but the people responding are going to go.
Oh, they were so
Yeah.
fast I couldn't even read the
So you got to make sure those subtitles are
Spanish,
up.
you know, I couldn't read it as fast as they said it.
The people answering the questions feel no compunction to slow down for anybody. Yeah.
No.
And they're gonna talk a mile a minute just because that's what's coming out of my mouth because I'm thinking about it right now and it'll all run together. So yeah, you got to think about the responses. But the gist of the ideas, even though they speak quickly, the gist of the ideas is easy. It's easy to follow the train of thought, even if you don't catch everything, because people are going to definitely tell you, you'll definitely know when they have a preference for one thing or another, because of food, because of activities, because of the amount of traffic. You'll be able to follow the thread of their thoughts, even if it's not everything. So, and I want you to carry that into places you would or would not want to live if you had to choose between different sites, places to live, places to be, places to visit. Eso sí. Okay? Vale. Bien? Todo bien? All good?
Sí.
Muy bien. Magnifico. And you're going to do a really deep dive on that echar. You're going to get a great big new video, and it's going to have quite a bit. And to be honest with you, echar goes even deeper than what you're going to see in the new video, but echar is one of those verbs, even though it means throw, sometimes it doesn't really mean throw. So it's that art of the translation that comes into play. You got to interpret how it's being used. Ok, vale, bien.
Yeah.
Sí.
Gracias.
Sí.
Excelente. Entonces, sí, espero que ustedes tengan muy buena semana y un buen fin de, un fin de semana muy fantástico. Bien.
Sí, sí,
Vale.
gracias.
También.
Cuídense.